Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. This is a very important issue, and I would like to start with one of the sayings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that whenever you see oppression, you have to try to change it. If you can't change it, you have to try to publicize it. If you can't even publicize it, you have to have it in your heart that this is wrong. This is one case where we will see this is applicable. So there is a document called the Balfour Declaration, which was issued in November 1917. So we are nearly 100 years on it. This was issued by the British government. So let us see what is the Balfour Declaration. The Balfour Declaration was a single paragraph in a letter dated 2nd November 1917 from the United Kingdom's Foreign Secretary Arthur James Balfour to Walter Rothschild, 2nd Baron Rothschild, a leader of the British Jewish community, for transmission to the Zionist Federation of Great Britain and Ireland. And it read like this: His Majesty's government view with favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people, and will use their best endeavors to facilitate the achievement of this object. It being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine, or the rights and political status enjoyed by Jews in any other country. So you see that paragraph in red says nothing will be done to affect the rights and status of the people in Palestine. So how did Palestine look at the time of that declaration? There. So you see, this one sort of flips between the different bits. You can see now what is happening here. So at the time of the declaration, 1917, there was nothing for Jewish settlements. And then slowly it went on, and the green area you can see is shrinking and ultimately gone. So in 1920, after the First World War, when the Ottomans were defeated, the British got what is called a mandate for Palestine, which covered most of what we now know as Jordan, parts of Iraq, Palestine, and other parts of Arabia as well. And they decided that somehow in some of these places we are going to facilitate a Jewish homeland. But let us see what is the mindset of this kind of British leaders at that time. Some of them whom we think great have some very strange things to say. So here is Sir Winston Churchill. He told the Palestine Royal Commission in 1937, when the problem of Palestinian expulsion and ethnic cleansing in Palestine was becoming quite obvious, I do not admit, for instance, that a great wrong has been done to the Red Indians of America or the black people of Australia. And I do not admit, now he's referring to the Palestinians, that a wrong has been done to these people by the fact that a stronger race, a higher grade race, a more worldly wise race, to put it that way, has come in and taken their place. What's wrong with that? So this is the mindset we are having. And this is not only here. Look at Churchill's view on this. This was the use of poison gas, chemical weapons, in Iraq in the 1990s and 1920. I cannot understand this squeamishness about the use of gas. He wrote in a memo during his role as a Minister for War and Air in 1990. I'm strongly in favor of using poison gas against uncivilized tribes. This is our people in Iraq who had revolted against the British. I'm just trying to show you a mindset which then doesn't mind what happens to other people, as long as it's not them. Or those of you who are familiar, Churchill again, It is alarming and nauseating to see Mr. Gandhi, a seditious Middle Temple lawyer now posing as a fakir, striding half-naked up the steps of the Viceregal Palace, Churchill said of his anti-colonialist adversary in 1931. Gandhi should not be released on the account of a mere threat of fasting. Churchill told the cabinet on another occasion, we should be rid of a bad man, an enemy of the empire, if he died. I'm just trying to show you the mindset of these people who signed the Balfour Declaration and who turned a blind eye. And so, you see, once the Jordan was separated, that was Palestine, 1923. Very few and very little Jewish presence there. And now you see what happens. 1947, partition in 1947, 1949 to 1967, and the present. You can see the Palestinian section shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, and we are left with, in the last one, that small bit is what is called the Gaza Strip, and the other bits are what is called the West Bank of the Jordan River, and even there is continuing settlement activity. 6 million Palestinians have been expelled, and 6 million are living in Palestine permanently. So, this is what we meant by when the Balfour Declaration says nothing shall be done to adversely affect the people who are living in Palestine. Given this situation 100 years on, we have a movement now which says, look, at least the British government should apologize for this nonsense and for this really injustice. So we wrote a petition to the Parliament. Here a lot of people have signed a petition, and the reply was here. So this was the petition. We must apologize for the Balfour Declaration and lead peace efforts in Palestine. We call on Her Majesty's government to openly apologize to the Palestinian people for issuing the Balfour Declaration. The colonial policy of Britain between 1917 and 1948 led to mass displacement of the Palestinian nation. Her Majesty's government should recognize its role during the mandate and now must lead attempts to reach a solution that ensures justice for the Palestinian people. The response? Theresa May wants British people to feel pride in the Balfour Declaration, and does not want to apologize. This article from the Independent said, what is exactly there to be proud of? Balfour initiated a policy of British support for Israel which continues to this very day, to the detriment of the occupied Palestinians of the West Bank and the 5 million Palestinian refugees living largely in warrens of poverty around the Middle East, including Israeli besieged Gaza. Surely we should apologize. But instead of apologizing, we want to celebrate this occasion. Now, hopefully, with this lame government, that celebration will be subdued, because I think Jeremy Corbyn is not very much in favor of celebrating this kind of ethnic cleansing. So, of course, throughout the ages, throughout this time, Britain has been complicit in supplying arms, in voting in the United Nations in favor of this occupation, ethnic cleansing, in doing whatever is possible. But now it wants to go further. Just like South Africa, where, as some of you may remember, and one of the things I would like to tell you, which some of you may not know, it was Israel who gave the nuclear bomb to South Africa and said, why don't you finish these black people? To the apartheid system in Israel. Okay? Fortunately, those guys didn't have the courage to do it, but they did make the bomb. Anyway, so just like South Africa, a movement has started to see if we can boycott people working with Israel, people exporting to Israel, people importing from Israel, which is called the BDS movement, boycott, divestment, and sanctions. What the government has done now is to say that this kind of boycott is criminal. We cannot do that, and has also told universities, local authorities, everybody that if you support any kind of boycott, we will take you to court. The next thing they have done is that anybody opposing this, anybody trying to ask for apology and so on, will be accused of anti-Semitism. Because anti-Zionism is actually anti-Semitism. So they are trying to bring the two together and trying to tell us that there is no way you can oppose this, hoping that in a generation this will be forgotten and the Palestinians will be gone. So, my brothers and sisters, as I said, the Prophet said, whatever you can do, the least is keep in your heart the idea that a great injustice has been done. Assalamu alaikum.